Welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video. I've decided to come to a very different spot for a change. It's a little bit out in the open. I'm sure I'll get some strange looks from passers-by as I'm sitting here tasting today's wine, but I felt like I wanted to be somewhere with a little bit more sunlight than usual. I don't know if you can see, I've got a nice glow through the trees, some komorebi, the light shining through the leaves over there from the sun. Anyway, none of that matters. I have with me today some Nuits Saint-Georges. I don't know if you can see the wrapping there. This is from Jeroboam's in Hampstead. That's part of the reason I'm sitting in a different location. And this is a producer called Marchand Tawse. I have had wines from them at least once or twice, I think, before on the channel. But this is in fact a Nuits Saint-Georges. I think I'd probably previously tried Chammotte from them. It is a named vineyard, I believe, Petite Charmotte. And it's a 2020 vintage. I seem to be going through another one of those spells where all of the wine shops I look at have kind of uncomfortably recent vintages, and I'm finding it harder and harder to buy wines from 2019 and earlier, which I think are generally now, from most bits of Burgundy, in good condition. 2020 has always been a mixed bag for me. There have been some good wines. I shouldn't be too pessimistic about it, should I? Certainly is getting difficult, in some places at least, to find anything earlier than 2020. Came out nice and easily. Nice and clean, fruity, relatively gentle. But after the previous wine I tasted, I'm glad it doesn't have any weird rough edges on the nose. There is definitely, fruit character there. As always, I'm going to say a little bit of something like black cherry, but it's kind of softer, and I'm tempted to go a little bit on some more delicate red berry fruits, possibly, in the kind of strawberry, raspberry sort of area. Sounds very bizarre, but it actually has a slightly mineral nose. Doesn't make sense. How could you smell minerals? There's something kind of stony in amongst that fruit. Quite nice though, not unpleasant. Clean and fruity in a fancy restaurant where they might serve a fruit-based dessert on a piece of slate. Which is probably annoying actually. But pretend that's nice and not a pretentious annoying thing that they do in restaurants. I've ruined it, haven't I, with that metaphor? Not a bad start. On the palate, that is pretty nice. It is ripe, it is fresh, it's fruity. I'm not particularly concerned this isn't ready yet. It certainly doesn't have any kind of greenness to it. I'm getting more red berry fruit character there. There is a sort of peppery twang towards the end there as well, but it's not unpleasant. Again, it's kind of soft in a way. It's the word that comes to mind. Not exactly delicate, but it has a sort of a softness to it. Like the difference between soft water, hard water, that kind of soft, if that makes sense. I want you to have 2 cups of tea in quick succession, one from an area with a lot of lime scale, one from an area with very low lime scale. That difference that you might notice between the two, that sort of softness to it. Even though I said I thought I detected a mineral thing on the nose, that was probably nonsense. And there is more of that peppery, it's probably tannins, isn't it? I often get the two confused. Peppery tannic twang. I've been sat here half an hour already and I'm not really sure what I've achieved in terms of understanding this wine better. I think there are some subtle floral hints on the nose, but it's something other than the usual suspects, the usual rose and violet. It's more something more exotic than that, almost, I don't know, jasmine, something like that, which is quite nice. Subtle, but it's there. And I would say I do overall like the mouthfeel, the flavour on the palate. It's not hugely sort of concentrated or intense. As I say, it's a little bit sort of soft. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but maybe this is more a stylistic thing of it being Nuits Saint-Georges rather than Chammotte, for example. That's that concentration and intensity is something I expect from Chammotte, and Nuits Saint-Georges to me is more about fruit expression. I suppose we do have a kind of fruit expression here. It is nice. I think price-wise, I don't know if this is just because it's from Jeroboam's and it's a sort of bricks and mortar shop. It was a little bit above the level that I normally want to spend on Nuits Saint-Georges. Part of what I like about Nuits Saint-Georges is that I think it does something really interesting, but the prices are usually a bit lower than Chammotte in my experience. So, whereas I expect to pay starting price £60 plus for Chammotte, at least occasionally find a decent Nuits Saint-Georges in more the 40 to 50 range, but this was priced like a Chammotte. So is it delivering value for money? No. Do I like it? yes, actually, I do quite like it. I would like it more if it cost £20 less. But it's definitely nice. Maybe a little bit of an easy drinking wine. It's not hugely attention grabbing, and possibly at that price range I might have expected something a little bit more noteworthy, but it's certainly nice and not a complete disappointment. Cheers.